Before time had a name, before the first mountains rose from the ancient ocean depths, before the sun's first rays touched the wild, untouched earth, the universe was an endless place overflowing with power and light. There were no days or nights, no starts or finishes, just pure existence, a never-ending harmony of beings far beyond anything we could dream up. In that vast space, angels, or what the old Sumerians called the Anunnaki, reigned. They weren't gods in the simple way we might think. They were the builders of reality, the ones holding the rules of the universe together. And among them, one shone brighter than all the rest. Enlil ben Shahar, the morning star, who history later named Lucifer. I imagine him in my mind, not some hazy figure from a book, but a real living presence, so close I can almost feel his breath in the air. He's tall, towering over any human, maybe 10 or 12 feet high, with wings spread wide like curtains of light, sparkling like a starry sky on a moonless night. His hair flows long, like a silver waterfall tumbling down, each strand glowing with a soft, cool shimmer, like moonlight cutting through a foggy morning. His eyes stick with me the most, deep and burning like twin blue flames, full of wisdom but also a restlessness he can't hide. When his voice echoes through the heavens, it's not just sound, it's a force, a wave strong enough to rattle the stars a million miles away. Lucifer was as beautiful as a sunrise, so beautiful that even the other angels, perfect in the eyes of the Almighty, couldn't help but stare. But it wasn't just his looks that made him stand out. Inside him burned another kind of fire, a fire of discontent, a hunger to break free from the limits fate had set. He wasn't happy being a servant, a bright star among countless others, bowing before Yahweh's throne, the Almighty, who the Sumerians might have called Enlil, the god of wind, commands, and strict order. "Why should I kneel?" I hear him whisper in my thoughts, his voice low but sharp like a knife. "Why can't I be the light that guides, instead of just mirroring someone else's?" That question wasn't just a passing idea. It was the spark of chaos, a tiny crack in the perfect shell of eternity. I picture it, a meeting of angels, or maybe an Anunnaki council, held in a palace of light floating among the heavens. The walls gleam like clear crystal, bouncing colors from stars thousands of miles away. At the center, Yahweh's throne glows with a blinding light, too bright to look at, like a small sun. All around are thousands of angels. Michael with his fiery sword always ready, Gabriel with wings white as snow, and hundreds more whose names have faded with time. But off in the far corner, Lucifer stands quiet, his blue eyes locked on the throne with a mix of wonder and defiance. He wouldn't bend. While the other angels bowed, singing hymns to the Almighty's glory, Lucifer kept his head high. I see him step forward, his wings quivering just a little, sending waves of light rippling through the air. "I will rise," he says, his voice booming through the palace, overpowering the angels' songs. "I'll climb above the Almighty's throne. I'll be the real light, not a shadow at his feet." That wasn't just pride talking. It was a dare, a pebble dropped into the calm lake of cosmic order, stirring ripples that wouldn't stop. But who was Lucifer? Really? A proud angel, like the Bible later says? Or something deeper, an Anunnaki forgotten by official history? I start thinking about Enki, the Sumerian god of water, wisdom, and creation. Enki wasn't like Enlil, his brother and rival. Enlil ruled with orders and power, wanting humans, those weak creatures they'd made, to stay obedient forever. But Enki saw us differently. He saw a little flame in us, small but unquenchable. In Sumerian stories, Enki brought knowledge to people despite Enlil's anger. He taught us to plant crops, to build homes, to figure out the world. Could that be the start of the rebellion we blame on Lucifer? I wonder, was Enlil ben Shahar maybe Enki under a different name? Was the war we know from Christian tales just part of a bigger Anunnaki story? A fight between gods over light and knowledge versus darkness and control? As I mull it over, Lucifer's image shifts in my head. He's not just an angel with glowing wings anymore. He's a god by a river, holding the flame of wisdom, his blue eyes cutting through time like he knew his end but chose his path anyway. The mystery thickens. Who was the real traitor here? Lucifer, bold enough to challenge the Almighty? Or Yahweh, Enlil, holding power type height by hiding the truth? Did this war start with an angel's ego, or a deep split among the Anunnaki over what to do with us humans? I see Lucifer standing alone in that endless space, surrounded by other angels, Samyaza, Azazel, and hundreds who'd later be called Watchers. They look at him, not scared, but with respect and curiosity. "If we go down there," he says, his voice low like waves on a rocky shore, "we'll change everything. We'll give them the light they deserve." But that light had a price. When Lucifer turned away from Yahweh's throne, leading his loyal ones out of eternity, a huge tear split the universe. I see it in my mind, a blazing gash, like the sky sliced open with a light blade, showing cold darkness underneath. The faithful angel's singing stops, replaced by a howling wind carrying chaos's breath. Michael steps up, his fiery sword blazing, his serious eyes fixed on Lucifer. "You'll regret this, Hillel," he says, but there's a hint of hesitation in his voice, like even he's unsure about the cost of the order he's guarding. Lucifer doesn't reply. He just smiles, a cold, mysterious smile, like he's seen what's coming and accepted it. His wings stretch wide, their light flooding the space, and then he steps through the tier, leading his army down to Earth. A raw, untouched place back then, free of human hands. As his last shadow fades into the mists below, eternity shakes. The dawn of chaos has begun, and there's no going back. When Lucifer, or Helel ben Shahar, stepped through that tier in eternity, he didn't go alone. With him were those who chose to stand under his banner of unbreakable light, Samyaza, Azazel, and 200 other angels, the Watchers from the Book of Enoch. These weren't ordinary beings. Each one was powerful, once standing among the heavens, singing praises to Yahweh. But now they turned their backs on it all. The heavens, the shining throne, the order they'd sworn to uphold. I picture it like a grand painting, hundreds of tall figures, their wings glinting with silver and gold, stepping through thick fog, their eyes burning with resolve and a touch of fear they can't hide. They didn't head just anywhere. Their destination was Mount Hermon, a towering peak on the primal earth, wrapped in clouds like a curtain hiding secrets. I see them forming a circle on the mountaintop, cold wind whipping through, making their wings hum like bells in the dark. Samyaza, the leader in Enoch's book, steps forward. He's tall, with long black hair like the night, his eyes shining with determination. "We swear it here," he says, his voice deep like cracking stone, "that we'll go down to the world, live among humans, and give them what they've been denied." But in that moment, Samyaza's gaze slides to Lucifer, like he's looking for a nod from the morning star. Lucifer just dips his head, his lips curling into a mysterious smile, and I wonder, who's really leading this rebellion? Samyaza or Lucifer in the shadows? That oath on Mount Hermon wasn't just a promise. It was a curse, a chain tying them to a fate they couldn't escape. They gave up the heavens, their immortality, for what? A life among humans. Weak, small creatures, but carrying a hidden spark Lucifer had seen all along. I imagine him standing on that peak, looking down at the wild land below. Endless fields under the first sunlight, rivers winding like Earth's veins, and faint shapes of humans. Folks still huddled in caves, shivering from darkness and hunger. "They deserve the light," Lucifer whispers, his voice blending with the wind. "They deserve the knowledge Enlil's kept from them." The tide of the Anunnaki starts clicking in my mind. If Lucifer was Enki, the Sumerian god of water and wisdom, this rebellion wasn't just one angel's arrogance. It was a war between gods, two clashing visions for humanity's future. Enlil, who I picture as Yahweh here, wanted humans under control. I see him in my head, a towering figure with icy eyes, clutching a staff of command, standing on his throne amid a storm. "Humans don't need knowledge," Enlil declares, his voice booming like thunder. "They just need to obey." But Enki, or Lucifer, didn't agree. He saw us not as slaves but as children, beings who could rise, create, even challenge the gods themselves. The rebellion erupted not long after that oath. When the Watchers set foot on Earth, they brought more than their bodies. They brought forbidden secrets from the heavens. Azazel, an angel with hands stained by smoke and fire, taught humans to forge iron into swords. I see him by a rough forge, flames lighting up his sharp face, his golden eyes fixed on melting ore. "This is power," he tells the men around him, his voice low and magnetic. "With it, you won't fear wild beasts or the dark anymore." The first swords rise under the sun, their steel blades flashing like little mirrors, and humans feel strength in their hands for the first time. But Azazel didn't stop there. He showed them how to craft armor, turn stones into arrowheads, and twist simple hunts into wars. I picture it. Small tribes, once peaceful by the riverbanks, now facing off with weapons, blood soaking the fresh earth. Shouts ring out, not from hunger, but from greed and fear that new knowledge brought. Azazel watches from a distance, wings folded behind him, and I wonder if he feels any regret. Or does he just smile, satisfied he's done what Lucifer asked? Samyaza took a different path. He didn't just teach practical skills, he gave humans the secrets of the sky. I see him on a hill, pointing to twinkling constellations, his voice rising and falling like an old song. This is the map of fate, he tells the people looking up, their eyes wide with awe. You can read it, understand it, use it to find your way. Astronomy was born from those lessons, but that's not all. Samyaza also taught them magic, whispers to call the wind, symbols to tame the dark. Humans started believing they weren't just nature's victims, but could master it. The Watchers' boldest move wasn't the knowledge they shared, though, it was the blood they left behind. They took human daughters as wives, and from those unions came the Nephilim, half-god giants with terrifying strength and untamed fury. I see them in my mind, tall as ancient oaks, maybe 20 feet high, skin rough like mountain stone, eyes glowing red like embers. Their roars echo across the fields, shaking the earth and sky. They weren't born of love, they were products of desire and pride, creatures with angelic blood cursed by chaos. The real war broke out when Yahweh, or Enlil, couldn't stand by anymore. I imagine it like a cosmic storm, Earth's sky torn by lightning, black clouds rolling like ocean waves. Michael, the Almighty's fiery sword, leads the loyal angels down to the world. He's massive, wings blazing white like daylight, his sword burning with an endless flame. Across from him stands Lucifer, his wings no longer bright, now a deep red like dried blood under the sun. "You've gone too far, Enlil," Michael says, his voice cold as steel. "Come back, or be destroyed." Lucifer laughs, a sound that rolls through the mountains. "Destroy me? Don't you see, Michael? I don't belong to the heavens anymore. I belong to them, to humanity." And then the battle begins. Angel wings clash like thunder, light and shadow weaving a deadly dance. Azazel fights smaller angels, his self-forged sword sparking against their fiery blades. Samyaza stands high, hands raised, calling fierce winds to sweep Michael's army away. But Lucifer's at the heart of it all. Moving like a whirlwind, each sword swing a statement, each step a challenge. If Lucifer was Enki, this wasn't just a fight between angels. It was a showdown between two Anunnaki sides. Enki, who wanted to enlighten humans, and Enlil, who wanted them kept in the dark. I see Enlil on his throne, icy eyes staring down at earth, gripping his staff tight. "They're not ready," he whispers, but I hear fear in his voice, fear that Enki might be right, that humans could outgrow even the gods. The battle stretched on. Who knows how long? Days, maybe centuries, since time for gods isn't like ours. Nephilim blood soaked the ground, Watchers' cries mixed with the wind. But as Lucifer's light dimmed under Michael's sword, a question hung in the air. Was this rebellion the start of light, or the root of eternal darkness? The war on the primal earth couldn't last forever. Under a sky shred by fire and shadow, amid fields now stained with Nephilim blood and the Watchers' roars, Lucifer's fate, Helel ben Shahar, the morning star, was sealed. I see him standing there in the storm of chaos he'd unleashed, his deep red wings coated in dust and ash, his sword trembling like it's crying out in pain. He's not the flawless angel who once stood in the heavens anymore. He's a battered warrior, but those blazing blue eyes still burn, unbowed. Facing him is Michael, Yahweh's fiery enforcer, who I picture with wings white as morning sun, spotless and sure. Michael's sword flares with an unquenchable flame, each slash a judgment, each step a claim of the Almighty's unchanging order. "You chose this path, Helel," Michael says, his voice like ice with a trace of regret. Even he doesn't notice. "Come back, or be destroyed." But Lucifer just laughs, a harsh, cutting laugh that echoes through Earth's broken mountains. "Destroy me, brother," he replies, voice deep as waves on stone. "Don't you get it? I died the moment I left the heavens. But I didn't die alone. I brought light down here, and it'll live forever." In that moment, I feel the weight of pride and sacrifice tangled up in Lucifer. Isaiah 14:12-15 rings in my head like a prophecy. "How you have fallen from heaven, Morning star, you said in your heart, I will rise above the stars, I will set my throne equal to the Almighty. But you've been cast down to the pit. It's not just a description, it's a verdict, a tale of a grand dream crushed by its own ambition. But looking deeper into this fight, I wonder, was Lucifer's fall really just pride, or the price of a vision too big for Yahweh, or Enlil to accept? The final clash between Lucifer and Michael wasn't like any showdown I'd ever pictured. It wasn't just two angels dueling, it was two worlds colliding, two wills that wouldn't break. I see them moving like tornadoes, each sword strike a flash tearing the sky, each clash a boom shaking the ground. Michael's fast, precise, every blow a shout of the Almighty's power. But Lucifer's different. He fights with the fury of someone with nothing left to lose, with the fire of a believer who thinks even defeat can be a win. His red wings spread wide, swirling wind and ash, like he wants to wrap the whole earth in his embrace. Around them, the last watchers fall one by one. Samyaza, his long black hair whipping in the wind, gets pierced through the chest by a loyal angel, his golden blood spilling onto the ground, mixing with the Nephilim's red. Azazel, still clutching his hand-forged sword, is overwhelmed by three foes at once, his final yell a curse aimed at the heavens. The Nephilim giants, offspring of the Watchers, topple like storm-felled trees, their roars fading into the dust. But Lucifer doesn't look back. His focus stays on Michael, on that fiery sword inching closer to his heart. When the fatal blow lands, time seems to freeze. I see Michael's blade drive through Lucifer's chest, flames swallowing the last light from his wings. A terrible scream rips from Lucifer's throat, not pain, but defiance, like he wants the universe to hear him one last time. Those once brilliant wings burn black, broken feathers falling like ash rain, blanketing the ruined earth. From the height of glory, Lucifer falls, not as an angel, but as a shooting star, trailing light and darkness in his great plunge. I imagine him crashing into a bottomless chasm, blue eyes still wide, staring up at a sky now alien to him. And in that instant, I feel the endless loneliness of someone who was once the brightest light. But Lucifer's fall wasn't just one being's defeat. If he was really Enki, the Anunnaki god of water and wisdom, this is a tragedy bigger than one story. I see Enlil on his throne, cold eyes peering at Earth through a glowing mirror. He doesn't smile or cheer. His face is a blank wall, but deep down I sense unease. Enlil, the symbol of order and power, won. He banished Enki, erased him from the official Anunnaki list, turned him into a ghost of history. But was that victory total? Enki planted seeds of knowledge on Earth, and even in exile, he left a mark that can't be wiped away. I picture Lucifer, or Enki, lying in the chasm's darkness, body torn but mind sharp. He doesn't crumble in despair. He whispers to himself, voice faint but firm, "They'll remember me, not as a traitor, but as the one who lit the way." And right then, I realize his fall wasn't an end, but a beginning, the start of humanity's story, carrying his flame through thousands of years. Questions rise in my mind, deep and nagging. Did he fall from pride, or for daring to challenge an unfair order? If Lucifer was Enki, bringing knowledge to humans despite Enlil's punishment, who's the real villain? Enlil, with an iron grip keeping us in the dark? Or Enki, who gave up everything to hand us light, even if it's sometimes too bright, too dangerous? I see Lucifer falling, but in that drop, tiny sparks break off him, drifting down like glowing dust, sinking into the soil, the rivers, into our very souls. Michael stands on the battlefield, his fiery sword flickering out. He looks down into the chasm where Lucifer vanished, and I wonder if a flicker of regret crosses his stern eyes. "You lost, Hillel," he says, but his voice lacks a victor's joy. Around him, Earth goes quiet. No more Nephilim roars, no more watcher cries, just wind whistling through blood-stained fields. But that silence isn't peace. It's a warning of what's ahead. Lucifer was cast out, but he didn't truly vanish. I feel him in the shadows, in the wind's whispers, in the faint starlight at night. He became Satan in Christian tales, Yahweh's enemy. But if he's Enki, that title's just a mask hiding a deeper truth. The morning star's fall wasn't a full stop. It was the first flare of a revolution stretching across time, a promise that his light, cursed or praised, would burn on in humanity's heart. As I close that image in my mind, I hear Lucifer's voice from the chasm, weak but clear. I don't regret it. And I wonder, do we, who inherited that fire, ever regret taking it? When Lucifer fell into the abyss, When the last glow from his charred wings faded into the dark, Earth didn't go back to how it was. I picture it like a still, haunting scene. Wild fields now soaked with Nephilim blood, mountains cracked by the angels' war, and a sky, once clear as a mirror of heaven, now heavy with black clouds, like it's mourning the morning star's loss. Michael stands there, his fiery sword dimming, cold eyes scanning the wreckage. He says nothing, but his silence weighs more than any winner's speech. The Book of Enoch says the Watcher's fate was set. Samyaza, who led the oath on Mount Hermon, gets chained with unbreakable light, dragged to a pit deep underground where darkness rules and the wind hisses like curses. Azazel, who taught humans to forge swords and wage war, is locked in a dry desert, buried under tons of sand, his fire-stained hands bound by rock and ash. The other rebel angels share the same end, banished to bottomless depths, awaiting Yahweh's final judgment. I see them in my mind, tall shapes, broken wings, empty eyes staring up at a sky they once called home, now just a distant memory. But what about Lucifer? He's not chained or caged like the others. He's free, or free in a way. I imagine him lying in the abyss's darkness, body wrecked from battling Michael, but those blue eyes still wide, piercing the shadows like he can see tomorrow. He doesn't break in despair. He smiles, faint but proud. I planted the seeds, he whispers, voice low like water over river stones. Even if I'm forgotten, they'll grow. And he's right. Earth isn't the untouched wild of those early days anymore. It's changed, not just by war's blood and ash, but by what Lucifer and the Watchers left behind. Those seeds of knowledge start sprouting. I see the first humans, folks once trembling in caves, scared of the dark and beastly growls, now standing tall, their eyes lit with something new. They grip swords Azazel taught them to forge, not just for hunting but to protect themselves, to claim new lands. They look up, muttering Samyaza's lessons about the stars, scratching the first maps on clay, naming constellations that'll guide civilizations later. They whisper the Watchers, forbidden magic, and from that, belief in something bigger takes root, not to worship Yahweh, but to wrestle with nature itself. But that knowledge came with a cost. I see small tribes, once living quietly by rivers, now clashing with weapons. Shouts fill the air, not from hunger, but from greed and fear. Blood stains the ground, and war's first flames spread from village to village. The Nephilim, though gone, leave their ghosts, tales of fierce giants passed down, haunting human dreams. Earth's now an invisible battlefield, where knowledge is light and chaos's shadow twist together, inseparable. If Lucifer was Enki, the Anunnaki god of water and wisdom, this fallout's no accident. I see him in Sumerian lore, standing by the Euphrates River, hands raised like he's blessing us, his voice telling humanity's tale. Enki wasn't like Enlil, who wanted us as obedient slaves forever. Enki saw us as kids, beings who could grow, create, even defy gods. He taught us to dig canals, turning dry dirt into fertile fields. He gave us the first writing, so we could mark our thoughts on clay. He showed us the sky, not to fear it, but to learn from it. But Enlil wouldn't forgive that. I picture him on his throne, icy eyes glaring at Earth through a storm. "They're not ready," he says, voice like thunder. "They'll destroy themselves." And maybe he's half right. Human civilization exploded from Enki's seeds. From Sumer, where the first cities rose like fires in the dark. Writing was born, turning fleeting words into lasting memories. Astronomy grew, letting us measure time and space. Farming changed everything, turning wanderers into settlers, building tall temples, not for Yahweh or Enlil, but for gods touched by Enki's mark. Yet progress came with endless chaos. I see Sumer's first cities, with strong clay walls and busy streets, but also wars between city-states, floods from overeager canals, curses swapped as tribes fought for power. Lucifer, Enki's knowledge, was a double-edged sword, lifting us from darkness but pulling us into a spiral of ambition and ruin. I wonder, is this what Lucifer wanted? Falling into that abyss, did he foresee this? A world where his light's both a gift and a curse? The mystery piles up in my head. If Lucifer was Enki, Sumer's sudden rise wasn't random. I imagine an ancient Sumerian man, I'll call him Naram, standing in a golden wheat field, holding a clay tablet scratched with marks. Naram's no warrior or king. He's a farmer, but his eyes glow with Enki's knowledge. One night, with a full moon hanging low, Naram dreams of a tall figure by the river, hands raised in blessing. "Plant," it says, voice like flowing water. "Write, look to the stars." Waking up, Naram digs canals, scratches the first crop notes, and maps stars on clay. But that dream didn't just bring light. One day, working his field, a flood hits, not nature's doing, but Enlil's wrath, punishing those who cross lines. Water sweeps away everything, fields, village, Naram's family. He stands in the wreckage, clutching a broken tablet, yelling at the sky. Why? No answer comes, just wind carrying Lucifer's breath, a reminder that knowledge always has its price. I ask myself, are we humans the product of this Lucifer, Enki, and Yahweh, Enlil war? Does every village, city, and carved stone hold traces of that rebellion? Looking at Sumer, where civilization flared up like a torch in the dark, I can't help thinking Enlil, the winner, tried to erase Enki's mark from the story. But he couldn't wipe it all. Lucifer lives on. Not in heaven, but in our dreams, our drive to reach the stars, the unquenchable fire of creation. Earth now bears his stamp, a world dazzling yet broken, noble yet chaotic. In history's shadows, I feel Lucifer Enki's presence, threading through time, quietly shaping our steps. He didn't die, he didn't lose. He just changed form, becoming part of us. A mystery forever, a question without an answer. Who are we, and who do we really belong to? In history's darkness, truth stays hidden. A fallen angel, or a misunderstood God. A betrayer, or a bringer of light. If strange lights flash in the sky someday, what'll you call them? UFOs, Anunnaki, or Lucifer's return? The war never ended. It lives in our bones, in dreams of buried origins. What do you believe?